皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So today's story is going to be about what my tea instructor, my tea master, the most important lesson that she has taught me through my training, through our training. I'm just really afraid I didn't talk about this in one of my podcasts before. I don't know, it's just been such a big impact on my life that I feel like I've accidentally talked about it before. Now, if you've actually heard of such a podcast before, I'm really sorry, but I wanted to say it again because it's so important for me. Maybe it was just one of the Instagram live streams or somewhere I talked about. And in the future, I'm going to be making a main video in my main channel too. Yes, but I wanted to talk a little bit about it before I do that in this sub-channel. Yes. So, getting back to what we're going to be talking about today, the biggest lesson that my tea master has taught me. Now, in the main video, I think I'm going to be introducing a few episodes and going to be getting to the conclusion because all the episodes is actually linked to this one lesson, actually, that she's been continuously trying to teach me. But here, I think I'll just introduce one, and it was probably the one that had the biggest impact on me, so I think I'll talk about that. So, one day, I went to my training. Yes, tea ceremony training is basically you do the the procedures, right? The tea serving procedures. You do it in front of your master. Usually, the other apprentices, other students under the master will be acting as your guests during the training. Yes. And for example, if my training was from 3 o'clock and if there was someone who was training from 2:30, I'll be coming in between a person's training. And once I go into the tea room, someone would be doing their procedures, so I will go in as the guest. And then once I do the guest for the person who has been training from 2:30, I do it next from 3 o'clock. That was I was from 3 o'clock. And then there'll be a new student from around 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and that person will come in, and that person will be the guest for me. And then we just kind of keep on going like this inside the tea room, inside the class. Yes. So one day, it was me doing the tea serving practices in front of the master, doing making matcha and stuff, and the tea master hardly said anything to me. Now, because I love tea ceremony, I always take notes before I go, take notes of all things I was taught, tea serving is basically almost like kata in Budo martial arts. It's like basically doing the same thing over and over. So I want to memorize it as soon as possible. So I always take a lot of notes, and so I try to avoid making any mistakes at my training because I want my master to tell me the deeper things, like my mindsets or my just like my posture or the direction of my fingers. Of course, it gets that deep, by the way, if you continue training. So I don't want to make any major mistakes in my procedures, so I hardly make any. So my master would usually point out the really delicate parts, the detail parts, yes, I should say. Anyways, I did the training and it was over for me. And then the next student that came in, he's actually my kohai. Yes, my junior, but he's actually 80 years old, I think. He's much older than me. But within a dojo or a tea classroom, how old you are doesn't matter. What matters is how long you have been training. Senpai and kohai, what's the word? Junior and superior and junior? What's the word I'm looking for? Yes. It depends on how long you've been training. So I had this kohai man who is 80 years old. He comes in. He is a little bit of a silly person, I guess. He is sometimes very impolite to the master. And because he is older than my instructor, my master, she is, of course, very strict to him too. But she, sometimes just laughs and, lets him be who he is kind of thing, And because he's 80 years old and he hardly does extra training outside, he makes a lot of mistakes when he does the procedure. He's like, oh no, that you need to hold that with your left hand. Oh no, you need to do that first before you do that. And it takes a lot of time for him to make one cup of matcha, And I was the guest because I did my training first, right? And it was kind of like, exchanging, taking turns, and I was drinking the matcha. And then the master asked me afterwards, after his training was over, I think he almost like spilled water and everything. And afterwards, the master asked me, Shogo, who do you think did better in terms of the tea serving? Was it him or was it you? Yes, she asked me. And to be very honest, if you guys saw the two of us doing the tea serving, I think almost every one of you would probably say me. Yes, because I did not make any major mistakes. He made more than 30 or 40 maybe. Like almost every movement was fixed by the instructor. And of course, as a Japanese person, I would never say me. So I was like, I don't know. Yes. And then she said, I actually, because she knew that in my mind, I was thinking me, obviously, because probably the way I was looking at him was like, can this person hurry up? Probably. I didn't mean that, but it might have looked like that. Yes. And she said, I actually liked his tea serving than yours. And this is very, very, what should I say, a little bit strange, because if you take a look at the tea servings, I did not make any mistakes, but he made a lot of mistakes, and I couldn't understand what she meant at the beginning. But here comes the ultimate lesson that she wanted to teach me. She said that, Shogo, you are making tea for yourself. Now, he did make a lot of mistakes, that is true, but he was making tea for you. You are always focused on trying not to make mistakes because you don't want to embarrass yourself. Yes. But he is not afraid of making any mistakes because he is trying to make the best cup of matcha for you. Yes. And I was very, very shocked. Yes. To be honest, until she gave me that lesson, when I made matcha in the tea ceremony, I wasn't looking at the guests at all, come to think of it. I was always focused on if I'm not making mistakes or if I'm doing the procedures correctly or and things like that. I was just caught up with that idea, and I never ever gave any. I mean, I didn't. It doesn't mean that I didn't care about the guests. It means that I wasn't focused enough or I wasn't kind enough. Enough to actually care about the guests and the people around me. And she told me that tea ceremony is always about caring others than not yourself. Yes. You can break my tea tools, she said. You can break my tea tools. You can spill matcha on my floor. You can spill water on my tatami mats. That's fine. Always, Shogo, remember, always make matcha for others and live for others and not yourself, because that is what makes us happy. So this was the biggest lesson that my master taught me. And I believe many of you know that scientifically, I guess in psychology, it's proven that humans' happiness is literally linked to serving others or doing something else for others. It's scientifically proven that when you do something good for other people, we inside our brains, I think we actually our brains emit happiness hormones, I think, when you do something good for others. And this lesson really, really changed my life. And this experiencing such a lesson is exactly the reason why I really want to spread the culture of tea ceremony more. A lot of people think that tea ceremony is just about sitting in seiza with your legs folded, and it's all about being quiet, and it's all just nervousness and difficulty and stuff like that. A lot of Japanese people imagine that too when they think of tea ceremony, but there is so much more than that. So much more than a lot of people don't know. But because like compared to katana, for example, or samurai, not too many people are interested in it. So it's really difficult to find a good occasion to try to spread this message. But I think I am the person who is capable to do it. So lessons like this, really important life lessons, can be learned, can be taught through tea ceremonies. So yeah, this is exactly one of the reasons why I love tea ceremony so much, and this big lesson of my life I will definitely, absolutely never forget. Yes. And by the way, guys, as I was talking, I think I remember when I talked about it. I think I talked about it this episode when I made a podcast saying I quit. I think I talked about the episode in Iaido too. I had a similar experience. And in tea ceremony, I think I talk about this too. So everyone, for those of you who already knew about this episode, I'm really sorry to talk about the same thing. But recently, again, I just, this lesson came to my mind again, and I just wanted to share this with you again. And I think the last time I talked about this on the thumbnail and the title had nothing about tea ceremonies. So this time I'll have, as you can see now, I'll have the tea ceremony more related thumbnail and such. So I hope you enjoy listening to the story. Yes. And if there's anything else you'd like to know more about tea ceremonies, let me know. And if you do tea ceremony, please let me know in the comments about what your biggest lesson or greatest experience you had during tea ceremony. It'd be great if you could share it with me. Okay? All right. So then everyone, as I always say, the ultimate goal of my life is to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. I know that there are a lot of people outside of Japan who want to study Japanese, train in our traditional culture like our Budo martial arts and such, and maybe even visit our country to see the historical sites and history. But I am very afraid that Japan will not be able to provide these things in the future because we are facing a lot of social problems, we are losing our traditional culture, and the younger generations, like in my generations, we are dying because we are facing so many social problems, and all of these issues and problems are all being, shoved into the younger generations, So I really want to dedicate my whole life to try to solve this. I want to solve the social problems, preserve and evolve traditional culture, and help out my generation and those younger today. Yes, because especially I have 2 daughters, this is something really serious for me too. And I want to, in 50 years and 100 years, I want the children of that generation too to also be able to enjoy Japanese culture and history. Yes. In the past, I once said, I want to spread Japanese culture because Japanese culture is somewhat good. But right now, I'm not trying to spread Japanese culture because Japanese culture is good. Every culture around the world is good. Yes. Of course, all culture around the world is important. Yes. But I think that I am capable of trying to achieve this dream because I am Japanese, but I grew up in the US. I have a Chinese wife. I love traditional culture. And there are people who really do like our culture, right? And I don't want them to think or say in 50 years, I don't want anyone to be saying, do you guys know about this country called Japan? Oh yeah, it's the country of samurai ninja, right? We still have their video games, but the country itself doesn't exist anymore. Or the culture in Japan itself has gone extinct, so we can now, no one can know about the actual, how it was actually anymore kind of thing, and turn into something just like memories. Because eventually that will die out, yes, or change its form too much that we'll never be able to remember what it was actually like. So I don't want to see that kind of future, So I want to dedicate my whole life trying to change it, convert it, yes. And to make this dream come true, the the nearest goal right now is to achieve 1 million subscribers by January 2023. So your help would mean a lot. Your likes and comments will help my videos be boosted to new people. Yes. And thank you so much for always supporting me. I really, really appreciate your help. Okay? Then thank you so much. I will be talking to you again in the next podcast or the live streams. Okay? Thanks so much. I'll be waiting for your comments too. Bye-bye.